So this is what your wall section should look like that we've been working on. And we're going to now continue up and do a window and the roof, and then we'll be done. And if you want to go back, I posted that video on Blackboard, that last one that we saw, because it's a really good explanation of the wall section. And you see on the left-hand side how they were having it go up, the wall section go up as they were building the 3D model. So we're going to put another break line in here. And you can have multiple break lines in a wall, because the idea is not to do a boring, really boring wall section that is just monotonous, the same thing over and over again. So we're going to go up a little ways, and then we're going to put in a 2x6 turn sideways for the bottom of the window. And what's that called?
Sill plate.
Yep, sill plate. So we'll continue with the drywall on the inside, out here. And I added a rain screen in here, which is that gap. I hadn't put it in there. And then we'll continue with our siding. We only need to label it once on the wall section. So whether you label it here or up here doesn't matter. But as long as it's the same thing, you only need to label it once. So now I've got my 2x6 sill plate, because I'm going to frame a window. If you were doing the drawing in AutoCAD or more detailed drawing, you'd go into, you can go into the different window manufacturers and actually get the AutoCAD drawings or the Revit drawings for the window so that you could do it yourself. But what we're going to do is we are going to put a board across the top here. And this is going to be our sill that we would have on the inside of the house. It'll overlap the drywall a little bit. And then it's going to come and it's going to angle down, and it's going to have a little notch out of it at the bottom. And that's the drip edge. So now we're ready to put our window in. And the window, we're going to do a very simple window. We're just going to do a box, and we're going to show double pane glass coming in. And if we had trim, we would have trim here under the windowsill if we wanted to. So again, we've got this box or our glass. We're going to break it, break the line, carry the glass up, and then we do the reverse at the top. So we've got the glass coming into the window frame, and the window frames, as you've seen from the different videos, are a lot more elaborate than this is. Then we continue the wall above that. You know, that's where we'd have our cripple studs. So I'm going to continue the wall up here. And then I'm going to have a header above the windows. If it's a load-bearing wall, I would have a header. So I would have a header above the windows. And let's call this 2 2x12s. It depends on how big, or we'll do it 2 2x10s. That's probably big enough. Header, window header. And remember, there's 2 ways to do the window header. I can push both these 2x10s over to one edge, and I can put the insulation on the one side, or I can put some batt insulation in the center, right? So we get that thermal break. Sandwich it. Then we're going to assume that we've reached the top of our wall. We're going to do another 2x6. Have you guys been drawing this, just sketching it out every week? Honesty. A little bit, okay. I appreciate honesty. Then however high we're going to go, then we're going to have our, what's this top plate called?
You just said it right, top plate.
Yep, I did, didn't I? Trick question.
hmm
And then we'll always have insulation, in all these spaces. And then up here, we would have, get all my colors right, we would have drywall coming down, and we would have some kind of trim around the windows. And then we'd have our plywood on the outside. Followed by our airspace and our siding again.
So for the final drawing, you would want all of the like notes and stuff to be on one side.
Yep. And I'm recording this so you can just go back and follow through with it.
Yeah.
Draw it as neat as you can. And I'll show you the drawings from the other class again before we leave. So now we've reached the top of the roof. Now we need to put in our roof joists and our header and the shingles. And we're pretty much done. This is a simplified wall section, but it's good nonetheless. So I'm going to put in my roof joists, and I'm going to do it to an appropriate slope, and I'm going to show you how you define the slope. So I'm going to do it at a 412. So that means if I'm starting here, for every 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 I go over, I go up 1, 2. That's a 412 slope. Let's do a 1212 slope. It might be a little bit easier. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So then if I connect those dots, that's a 1212 slope. So I went over 6 and up 6. It's the same as going over 12 and up 12. So I come down here, and I've got a 1212 slope. What's going to happen is this joist, and I should have brought it back here, is going to be notched. And I carried my, to come down to down. And I'm going to do it as a 2 by 12. So I want to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half. And I'm going to have a joist at the end. I don't have much of an overhang. Let me erase that and overhang it a little bit more.
Do we have to use drawing tools, right?
If you can, I'd prefer it, but you can do it freehand.
Okay.
I'd rather use drawing tools. I'm going to show you the ones. It's a nice looking drawing when you're done.
Mm-hmm.
I'd really rather use drawing tools.
Okay.
Okay, so here's my joist. And I can't say that to everybody because Abby's never had drafting. Not Abby. Ayana's never had drafting. It'll be good practice for you. Because when we get to design, we do a lot of hand drawing. So there's my 2 by 12 roof joist. And then on top of that, what do I put on top of here? And I've got my end, my rim joist.
Spill edge or whatever.
Well, first I have to put plywood on, right?
Oh, right, the plywood.
And I would do 3/4 plywood. Let me move my paper down a little bit. And then I'm going to put a felt paper or some kind of membrane on top. So we'll put 30-pound felt paper. And then on top of that, I'm going to put my shingles, roof shingles. And so I'm going to do roof shingles.
How thick do we have to be?
What's that?
how specific do we have to be?
I still didn't hear. How what do you have to be?
Sorry, how specific do we have to be?
How specific?
Yeah, like with the descriptions of like the shingles or.
You have to have everything that I wrote on here.
Oh.
So this is how you define a roof pitch on a wall section. You do the line that's parallel to your pitch, and then you write the run and the rise. So the rise is actually on the side, and then the run is on the top. So that's how you would do the roof pitch. So I want you to do the roof pitch too. I'm going to show you again the ones that I have and how detailed they are. And that's what I want you to do. And then we fill this with insulation, right? And if we have a finished off space, depending on what we're doing, we could either have a false ceiling coming there, or we could have drywall and we could have a cathedral ceiling. So you can either bring studs across, or you can have a cathedral ceiling with drywall going up. And then on this edge, we're going to have the fascia board. And we're going to have our soffit, right? So I pulled my siding up way too far. I think I'm going to go get an eraser in a second. And then what am I missing?
The gutter and then the spill edge.
Gutter. Yep. You can say gutter. You can do a 4-inch gutter. 4 inches is the standard. 3 is usually too small for this climate for most roofs. So that's our wall section. That's what I want you to draw.
Did you put in the spill edge, or do we have to just?
The spill edge?
Yeah. Isn't that above the gutter? Like the, or whatever it's called, the drip edge? I don't know what it's called.
The drip edge. Well, you have drip edges at different places. In one place I did put a drip edge was right here under the, so it's wherever water comes off, you want it to go in. So here the gutter goes, the flashing for the gutter goes up under the shingles, so you don't have one there. The water is supposed to all go in there.
Okay.
You would have one at your windowsill. So that's what we're looking to draw. Let me show you some examples from last semester. And yes, I'd really like you to use your tools. The only one is Abby, not Abby, I keep saying that, Ayana, who doesn't have them. So there's one. This one was really nice. Most people did really, really well last semester. That one's good. Her shingles are out a little too far. They're more flat. But I want all the lettering to be architectural lettering and, you know, roughly the same size. If you're doing it on grid paper, you can use that grid paper for sizing your lettering.
So can you go over like the size or like how we're like the scale or whatever?
So what we did was we did it so that every block is 2 inches. If we're on the grid paper, that grid paper I gave you.
The small block.
So that makes this, the scale is 1/2 inch
Yeah.
equals a foot. I can scan this. I'll see if Joe can scan this long drawing. She might have to do it in pieces, and I can put it on Blackboard. So you're really just redrawing it. So I do want you to use drafting tools. Ayana's the only exception, okay? And, you know, we've got the grade up here, so you're... Any questions on that?
I do. I have a question. I guess this is more or less not just the design. We're kind of the design, but who ultimately determines like the pitch of the roof? Is it like the I guess the architect who's drawing it, or just like an engineering problem or engineering?
No, the architect determines the pitch of the roof until someone tells them that they can't do it for one reason or another. I'm gonna get an eraser. And then the engineer, if you need an engineer, would design it according to the design. So you saw in some of those how, the roof pitch drastically changes what a building looks like. It changes the cost, it changes everything. I have to take my electric eraser to this. So I have a video I'm going to show you, which Robert gets to watch because he joined my other class late. Right, Robert? This is what I want you to draw using tools. And then I want you to do architectural lettering. You don't have to use a straight edge for the lettering. I would love it if you did. But if you don't, at least get good quality lettering in there. Any questions? I'll post this on Blackboard.
Yeah, if you guys might put that on Blackboard.
Yeah, so this
I
is
only
due.
have the bottom half.
Say that again?
I only have the bottom half on my phone.
I'll have Joe scan. I'll see if Joe can scan it and I'll post both of them. This is due to be delivered to me by Wednesday. Then we're going to have an online final just to make sure that you guys understood what we learned all semester. And that's it for the semester. So we won't be meeting as a group again. I do want to open up the final next. Maybe we should meet. We'll meet next Wednesday at 6, and I'll open up the final then for an hour because I want everyone to take it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, and we don't have to label like the flashing membranes and all that other stuff around the windows, right? Or
I did felt paper. You can add more to it.
okay,
This is kind of add more things to it if you want to.
yeah, okay.
If you want to add some of the flashing and some of the things we learned over the course of the semester, please do.
Sounds good.
All right, I have one last video to show you. I'm going to flip